Gmar Chatima Tova. Just in case no one has noticed, I am the oldest rabbi on the bima. But perhaps this is why this year, more than any other year I can remember, I have found myself being drawn into thoughts about death. Many of us, and I admit that I am speaking about myself, are often reluctant to look death in the face. We avoid the subject, we avoid making plans, as I did for many years. I mightily avoided securing a burial place for myself until Katie Lindley, our caring community director, kindly helped me to face the reality I had been unable to face myself, even though I have helped so many others do the same. This is the work that we do. I am certain my intensified reflections on death this past year are also due to the personal loss of friends, the state of the world, and the countless unnecessary, devastating losses we have all seen, even since Rosh Hashanah. They have stirred within me profound contemplation on death and the significance of this service and what it holds for all of us this Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, Day of Reflection. In this moment, we find ourselves at Yizkor, literally meaning, may God remember. Through the memorial prayers of this service, we honor our deceased loved ones, and tradition tells us we seek their forgiveness. Yizkor is then a spiritual bridge between the living and the dead, our revered time of remembrance and connection. At the same time, not only do we pray that God will remember our beloved, whose memories continue to bless our lives, but that we also will be remembered in our grief and sorrow by God and by those who surround us this day. Yizkor is so many things, and today I want to share with you some of my thoughts and feelings about what Yizkor can be. Yizkor is about mourning and grieving. Yizkor is our time to reflect, to mourn, to think about loved ones we have lost, and to hold them in our hearts as we pray. Beth Israel has known so much loss this year. Among our families here, 100 of our beloveds died in the year 5785. And for those of you who have suffered these losses, I say to you, Hamakom Yinachem, may you continue to be comforted. Our hearts are torn and still breaking for Israel in yet another war. We grieve for the soldiers and civilians in all innocence lost in the years before and all the days since October 7th. And with all that has been lost, we feel the most profound, inexpressible sadness. Yizkor is about forgiveness. I mentioned that our tradition teaches that Yizkor is a time to seek forgiveness, even from those we have lost. So I want to ask you, is it not also a time for us to forgive them, to make a healing connection that goes from heaven to earth and from earth to heaven? I know that many of us have people in our lives who are no longer with us, with whom our relationships were complicated or even fractured. Holding on to anger, being unable to forgive, or not trying to forgive to find even a moment or an act of goodness in a challenging relationship can be damaging to our souls. It is true, there are some who may not be worthy of our forgiveness, but perhaps we can lessen the anger, the rage, the hurt, by being grateful, by looking for the memory of just one meaningful moment or act of kindness. Asking for forgiveness from our deceased loved ones might be easier than forgiving them or forgiving the Creator. But forgiveness is an important part of connection and healing. Death does not end a relationship. For as long as we are still alive, there is hope to heal a fractured heart. And Yizkor is about communication and connection. As we begin the year 5786, I can tell you with great hope in my heart that just the change in the numbers of the dates suggests that this might be a special year. As you probably know, there is a mystical tradition within Judaism called gematria, in which numerical values are assigned to Hebrew letters and words. Gematria is used to find hidden spiritual meanings and connections within Jewish texts. For example, as most of you know, the number 18 has special significance because the Hebrew letters used to connote the number 18, Chet and Yud, spell Chai, life. The year 5786 has now begun. So what might the mystics say about the number 5786? Well, the Hebrew letters for the number 86 are Pei and Vav. Pei stands for the word mouth, Peh, and therefore communication. Vav stands for peg or hook, symbolizing connection and securing. By itself, Vav literally means and. But more than that, Vav represents a divine connection between heaven and earth. And grammatically, it transforms past into future and future into past, earth into heaven and back again. Vav is the bridge at a time when we really need one. On a deeper level, the Vav is said to be the link between us and our will to connect to God. That concept is one of many that is at the heart of being Jewish. And Yizkor is about hope. Finally, as we welcome the year 5786, we do not yet know how the coming months will unfold. How much joy might there be ahead, or how much grief? But whatever the next year holds, it is Jewish tradition to look forward with tikva, with hope. Throughout these holy days, our rabbis have been impressing upon us that there is always the possibility of hope. And through Yizkor, and though it is a somber time, we can also approach it with hope. So how can we accomplish this? We can think about the power of forgiveness and use the time we have now to heal the relationships that need healing, to tend to each other's souls, and ask forgiveness and forgive before it is too late. In that way, we will be able to add to the joy of memory and not just know the pain and guilt and loss. So at this moment, I ask for your forgiveness if I have offended you in any way, and extend whatever forgiveness there is to be had between each of us before forgiveness can be asked only in a memory. Yizkor is about hope. On Yom HaZikaron, Memorial Day in Israel, there is a phrase, quote, "In their deaths, they commanded us in life," end quote. That ideal of learning to live, not despite the loss of a loved one, but in their honor, is a message that asks us to seek healing and hope from within the deepest despair. I still have the eternal hope that there is a heavenly Jerusalem, Yerushalayim Lamala, where all souls will meet again, where we will be gathered to our ancestors, as it says so many times in Torah. I have the hope that this life and how we live it, though most important, is not the end. May 5786 be a year of hope and connection for all of us. I wish you all good health and long life. Gmar Chatima Tova.